Another thing that we want to bring forward today is caregiving. Everyone that I'm looking at has been touched by this disease, and we're well aware of that. And as we kind of ramped up for the holidays this year, we really wanted to put a spotlight on caregiving organizationally and everything that goes on along that process of the journey of this disease. And as we know, it's a challenge, it's ongoing, but we want to share with you a story to get started today. And I would like to bring up Bill Bates, who has received some of our services and who is a caregiver for his wife currently and has a story that he'd like to share with you to start our afternoon.
Please forgive me for putting you through that 4 or 5 seconds there, but I did that for a reason. This is what my wife faces every day. The thought process is there, but she wants to talk, but she can't always do it, and it's very difficult. I want to recognize the wonderful people at the Alzheimer's Association, like Penny Helms, Suzanne Benford, and Lindsay Ream, who have given us so much. They've given us so much of their resources and so much of their time. I also want to thank Tanya Becker, who's not with us, who heads the Art for Alzheimer's project. This has just been a wonderful thing for my wife because she is an artist. Some of her work you will see in the pictures that are on your table there. She has painted some beautiful pictures of her time, and I'm very proud of those. She still has every picture that she's ever painted, except the one of the horse, which she painted for our friends who live in Louisville, Kentucky. That was the winner of the Derby, I believe, in 2001, 2002. I met her when she was 12, and I was 15, and I immediately recognized several traits which I liked. First off, she was just the cutest thing I've ever seen.
She still is.
In one of the pictures that this photographer, who was commissioned by AARP, one that he took, it's in the background. That was a month before I met her. She was on vacation with her family in Florida, and she was 12 years old. I think that she was an adult when she was born. She immediately took charge of her younger sister, and she has directed her younger sister all these years. She has been the mother to her. The second thing was that I enjoyed talking to her. I always enjoyed talking with her in the exchange between us. The third, she was and she has been the most resourceful person that I have ever known. And thus was formed a friendship which has lasted 62 years. We will be married very soon, 58 years. Needless to say, we didn't get a lot of encouragement back in those days. In fact, we got a lot of discouragement in trying to keep us apart. I sometimes accused her father of getting a transfer to Memphis, Tennessee 3 months after I met her, just to get her away from me. If you'll look at one of those pictures, you'll see a 13-year-old Carole and a 16-year-old Bill sitting in the Peabody Hotel enjoying the festivities of the new year. This was 4 months after I met her. Parents from both sides seems to object, and I never could understand that until I had a daughter with the same age. The pastor of our church chimed in, and he had his things to say about it. Everyone that I worked for during the next 4 years, from 15 to 19, had a few things to say about it, that we were too young to have such a relationship, to be talking about marriage so young. But 4 years later, we made it happen. She was the grand old age of 16 and I was 19. 2 weeks after we were married, away I went to the Marine Corps. I was in boot camp. We weathered that storm, first time that we had been away from each other for that long. all of 6 weeks, and it was killing us. Then I was shipped to Naples, Italy to be a part of NATO security guard. And immediately I went to work on trying to get Carole there with me. I've met as much resistance there as I did from our parents about getting married, because they didn't want the wives over there. It was too much in the way. Well, while I was fighting with these people, Carole, in her quiet way, got a piece of paper that had a brigadier general's name on it, wrote him a letter, and 10 days later she was on a military plane headed for Naples, Italy, where we spent the next year and a half. I like to tell her that I took her for a honeymoon in Italy. Resourceful, I think this shows how resourceful this young lady was. And what does that mean? Readily available, able to act effectively. She has always done that. After I got back and went to school, we ended up with 2 children. They didn't like broccoli. She cooked it anyway. Greens. She poured the water off and made mashed potatoes. They got their vitamins. She's always been resourceful. As a matter of fact, when she went to the doctor for herself or for the children, she usually had the diagnosis already made. And she and the doctor seemed to be on the same channel. I just stood aside and listened to it. And they talked medicine every time she went in. One time we were in his office, and he said, "You know, Ms. Bates," said, "they say that the West was won by these guys with their guns. It wasn't." He said, "It was won by women like you." I thought that was a very big compliment. They call me a caregiver. I'm not a caregiver, she is. Recently, a lady moved into the gardens of Roswell, which she now resides, and I might add, is a wonderful place. She has just acclimated herself to it so well. And without proper preparation, this lady came in and she was shown her room by 2 daughters. And there was all her furniture. She was hysterical. She just hit the roof. She couldn't believe her daughters had sold her furniture to this place. Well, she had the whole place on the uproar. All the top staff was down. They were trying to quiet her down. Everybody was talking at once, and suddenly one of them said, "Where's Mom?" And they looked down the hall, and there went Mom, Carole's arm around her shoulder. Took her down to the dining room, talked to her. The lady's been happy ever since, and they're the best of friends. They sit together every day when they eat. Not so long ago, I was over visiting, and we were seated on the couch. I was on the end, Carole was in the center seat, and one of the ladies was on the other end. And this lady has a tendency at times, I guess she starts thinking about things from the past, and she gets upset just sitting there, and she starts shaking. Without missing a word, Carole and I were talking. She turned toward her, patted her on the arm, said everything's okay. The lady immediately quieted down when I'm watching TV. She's just this type of person who makes everything okay. Carole never complains about anything. She, throughout our life, moving, going from city to city as a traveling salesman, she was always in good spirits about it all. When I said that we had to move someplace, she immediately started packing. She had us ready to go in short order. I met a friend recently who expressed sorrow about our situation. And I finally had to stop him and told him, "Don't feel sorry for us, we're blessed." How many people have enjoyed each other's company for 62 years? Very few have that privilege, and I have had it. And I would say this, I wouldn't have missed a minute of it. It's been wonderful.